Good morning. It's Thursday, August 20th, 2020. I'm Pastor Thor Ramsey with Center Church, and this is Gospel for Five, where we take 5 minutes out of our day and focus on the gospel and the one who saved our souls. Again, we've been just taking verses that have to do with the gospel, and we're really just, well, it's not a two-way conversation, but I'm really just discussing them in front of you is really what I'm doing. Because, as I mentioned at the beginning of the week, I think generally most Christians, in my opinion, live out of their current identity of sin, weakness, and failure rather than living out of their identity of who God has made them in Christ. So in order to live out our identity of who God has made us in Christ, we have to understand and get the gospel down deeper in our souls. So today we're moving on to Romans chapter 1, verse 17. Which says this, "For in it," the gospel, "the righteousness of God is revealed from faith for faith, as it is written, the righteous shall live by faith." For in it the righteousness of God is revealed. In the gospel, the righteousness of God is revealed. Let me see if I can see what this other translation said. Let me see here. For in the gospel, a righteousness from God is revealed. That's the translation I was looking for. I'm not sure. Maybe that's the NIV. I'm reading out of the ESV. But in the gospel, in the good news of Christ, what is one of the things revealed in that gospel is the righteousness from God. Now, in other words, there's a righteousness that comes from God. And in this case, it is a received righteousness. It can't be an earned righteousness, right? Otherwise, we've got the wrong gospel. For by grace you've been saved through faith. This is not your own doing. No one can boast. It's the gift of God. So, for in the gospel, a righteousness from God is revealed. A righteousness that is by faith from first to last. So it's a righteousness received by faith. So there's where our right standing with God begins. Now I know we all know this, but do we all live from that place? The gospel begins this way. We're unrighteous. We've committed unrighteous acts. We're unrighteous in thought, word, and deed. And we believe that Christ lived, fulfilled the law perfectly, that he was fully human, born of a woman, fulfilled the law perfectly, as we went over in Galatians. And then when he died, his righteous life is then imputed to us, given to us. It's received by faith. It's a righteousness that is by faith. For in the gospel, a righteousness of God is revealed, which we find in Christ. And we receive this righteousness by faith. So we are righteous before God, not because of anything we have done or will do or can do. We are righteous before God because of Christ and Christ alone. And we've received that righteousness by faith. And tomorrow, when you get up, or maybe right now, you receive that righteousness by faith, right? It says this, for in it the righteousness of God is revealed from faith for faith, or as this other translation puts it, it is by faith from first to last, meaning you begin the Christian life by faith, by trusting what God has done for us in Christ. That is how we get up and live the Christian life the next day, and the next day, that's how we actually live the Christian life from moment to moment. We trust in what God has done for us in Christ, because many of us, after we come to faith in Christ, we feel justified. We have the experiential aspect of justification. We feel like God actually likes us, that God actually loves us, right? We feel in right standing with Him, right? That's righteousness. Being right before Him. And then, of course, then we go on and we have sin, weakness, and failure. We don't feel that way anymore. This is why we need the gospel. The gospel is from faith to faith, from the beginning to the end, It is by faith. This is not to justify any of our sin, weakness, and failure. We'll get to that aspect. But to actually get to the place where we're living holy lives, we have to begin with the gospel, with faith. So today, the gospel is received that we are righteous before our Father in heaven, not because of who we are right now, but because of Christ. And it will be that way from the beginning of our lives to the end of our lives, from the moment of justification, I should say, from the beginning of our new life to the end of our, well, in one sense we can say our new lives in Christ never end. We transition and pass through death, but we will not taste death because of Christ. We're righteous before God. For in the gospel, a righteousness from God is revealed, a righteousness that is by faith from first to last, just as it is written, the righteous will live by faith. Now, what has God said to you today? What do you